Video game companies have an AI problem. Players don't want it. That's a headline that Jason Schreier recently ran. It does sum up what we're all thinking. Where it gets interesting, though, is this is all because of corporate reports and stuff that these companies are actually disclosing to their investors. That title also sums up what we're thinking. We're exhausted by the slop art. Just try to buy a t-shirt on Amazon or eBay and you'll see all of the lazy assets, the stuff that's just from heaps of grifters. But Schreier here is talking about something much larger, and that is the largest game publishers on this planet. They are here admitting that players oppose this tech, that they know players oppose this tech. But obviously, they still do plan to use it, and that means we have a lot to talk about, even James Earl Jones. This all comes from earnings call season. Specifically, Jason Schreier reviewed investor documents from Take-Two and EA, and then Paul Tassi chipped in on CD Projekt Red. And here's what they found, right? Many instances of these companies warning investors about generative AI. They said it could, quote, cause legal and reputational harm, that it could make consumers lose confidence in their brands, that it could hurt their financial results. And obviously, you and me, we've seen the backlash to prove all of this stuff. Just take a look at the reaction to the cheap AI slop stuff in Call of Duty. I mean, there is so much slop in Call of Duty that I can barely even register it anymore. It's got so ridiculous. Seriously, it's a parody of itself. There's other examples too, like the weird reboot of Hawken. Ugh, just look at this image in the screen. That's horrible. So, these warnings make sense. Schreier's headline isn't wrong. Players know. But the thing is, every company using this tech has internal critics, and there is a read here that one may take from these earnings calls, these disclosures, that actually internal critics are warning leadership about reputational risks, about legal risks, about alienating audiences, and that they're being taken seriously. You can think about them as our people on the inside, but you shouldn't think these disclosures suggest that they're actually being listened to. Because here's the thing, this is mostly all just a formality, and it's a formality that's going to be followed by mass normalization, kind of through James Earl Jones. But obviously not really. It's really on Tim Epic, the man who does appear to be driving half the damn news these days. And take a look at what else EA are warning their investors about. Tariffs, lawsuits, third-party developers, missing deadlines, natural disasters, pandemics, things that are literally called acts of God. Cybersecurity breaches, all the stuff. Do you know what those are, though? They're disclosures. And as an example, do you know those investment ads that you probably get in YouTube that are annoying, that always warn you your investment may decrease in value? Or the entire comedic genre that is the American Pharma ad, where you get to see happy people dancing while you hear about horrible, horrifying side effects. Well, these are not done to sell more pills. No, those are disclosures. They're obligations. They protect companies from legal action if things go wrong. So here's what matters. These warnings actually mean the opposite. They don't mean that companies won't pursue generative AI. They mean that they will. And we know this because they're talking about it as a risk. If you're not using this technology, you don't need to warn investors of the potential backlash. And if you're only planning to use it in some innocuous or basic way, maybe some old-style machine learning, you could sort of massage it. But no, they don't even try to do that. This is full-on generative AI as consumers understand it. The only question would be then, will the tech stay internal? Is it all just some hype to make the quarterly thing go up? Or will it leak into player-facing products? Well, obviously, for many companies, it already has. Looking at you, Activision. But of course, Activision are Activision. They're fucking stupid and they've got what they've deserved so far with sentiment. But you know what? Tim Epic, he's a little bit more smart. If you want to get audiences on board with a new tech that's controversial, what you do is you make it fun. You don't sell someone a Prius that goes 0 to 60 in 50 seconds and gets lampooned by South Park. No. You sell them an electric car that goes 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds that you just think is fun. You create demand, you make it sexy, you make it fun. And with generative AI in video games, that is what Epic Games are in fact doing. If it's just a meme, if it's just a toy, it's not really serious. Even take image gen AI that a lot of people are extremely concerned about, and rightly so. There were earlier stages of that technology where it was just a kind of weird, broken fever dream thing that a lot of people found fun. But then that fun kind of stopped because it got altogether more serious. And that's kind of the thing. You don't feel the need to think about something too deeply when you're just engaging with something that's fun. And remember, we're talking about mass audiences here. And that's where we get to Epic Games. They rolled out their new Darth Vader NPC in Fortnite, but he's not like any normal NPC. He is a technology test. He's one that they knew would have meme potential, in my opinion.
Freaking, fucking.
What?
Such vulgarity does not become you,
not
Padme.
allowed.
You inquire about sustenance.
Oh my god, no,
and yet
oh my
speak
god.
like a common thug.
Smart move, right? It's the perfect way to get an audience on board with an AI chatbot in a way where they're actually playing with it. Why in Fortnite? Obvious. It's one of the biggest gaming platforms on Earth. Also, it's very broad. It's not catering to us, enthusiast gamers who, can be a little bit uppity. So it's millions of people, which also means whatever happens there becomes normalized in our industry, and it sets standards. Number 2 then, Fortnite is the perfect game for this type of thing. I kind of call it cultural katamari. It rolls about, consuming everything. It's kind of like the Borg of Star Trek, but with very vivid colors and flossing and such. And just so you understand, here's how the Vader NPC works. Complete challenges in the new Star Wars season to recruit Vader as a follower. Then he's his, and from now on, he will be your little chatbot friend. He'll respond to your voice prompts. And the tech behind it? Simple. Your voice gets converted to text. Google's Gemini model creates a response. That text goes to 11 Labs. 11 Labs converts it into speech. So if you ask Darth Vader how you can get a victory royale, the AI will generate advice based on your prompt, and this Vader will speak it to you. But obviously that's not how people are using it. I mean, of course. There were slurs, so many slurs. Memes, so many memes. If you want to hear legendary actor James Earl Jones say, "Skibbity toilet on God, no cap," well, guess what? Now it could happen. And personally, I'm pretty sure Epic knew that it would go, air quotes, wrong, because they immediately hotfixed it, where they limited it to just Disney-approved terms. That meant no self-harm talk, no people trafficking, no non-Disney media for more than 2 lines. And that last part does prove that this is not like some weird internal Epic model that only knows, or Disney model that only knows what Vader knows. No, movie Vader is here, and somehow he knows about Goku, which he really shouldn't. Point is, it's a big generic model. I think Epic could obviously have, prevented some of that meme material that was very off-brand. But, the memes, it sure did spread, didn't it? And here's the thing, Darth Vader is just the start. At Unreal Fest, Epic unveiled bigger plans. They're bringing chatbot tech to Fortnite's creative tools, meaning any player can use it, no voice actors needed. Tim Sweeney called it a superpower. He said that indie teams can now create characters with personality and infinite dialogue. But if you compare Sweeney's hype to the footage, well, it looks stilted, looks pointless, looks lacking in all human craft, and it exemplifies the core problem here. Most people don't want generative AI when they know about it. I mean, studies show that 70% hate it as customer support. But if you make that tech entertaining, make it fun, make it a meme, something you can play with, a toy, make it harmless, then you can change some minds. And you can slowly change the definition of normal, shift the Overton window. The cool toy disguise basically helps avoid the consumer direction. That's the reputational side, the cultural normalization side. But these companies also warned about the legal risks. They're pretty damn real, and we have to talk about them. Okay, so for this demo to work and to have the dynamics that we just talked about, it needs to be in Fortnite. It needs to have a fake Vader that really is Vader. It needed the real voice of James Earl Jones, who died in September 2024. Now, of course, seeing the big drama iceberg this is all heading for, Epic and Jones's family prepared a statement. They said that this is what he wanted. And to be clear, if that's what he wanted, I completely respect that. That's fair, right? What he did is he recorded a voice library for these models. But of course, don't be confused. These aren't actual performances from him. This is a computer taking his words, reconfiguring them into a new sentence, but it's not a performance. It's extrapolating his past creativity. It is not him being newly creative. Now, obviously, James Earl Jones is dead, so he's not going to be newly creative anytime soon. It's not like we'll see him cook up some new evolved take on Darth Vader, and he is absolutely in his right to greenlight this. I have to imagine that character meant a hell of a lot to him, and maybe the idea that fans of that character, fans of that performance could continue to get more of him, maybe that was actually deeply meaningful to him. That's totally cool. And look, you can argue that this is one of the uses of this tech that sort of does make sense in a way, that it's kind of literally the closest thing that you could have to the real Vader that's possible. But there's a big problem. What about actors who aren't dead. That's why the Screen Actors Guild has filed a labor complaint here. They're targeting Epic Games through subsidiary Lammer Productions. They claim that Epic made unilateral decisions during an ongoing voice actors strike that is about replacing bargaining work. And here's the thing where, in the long form, we could lose out. So here's the example. Scott Lawrence played Vader in Star Wars games. With this AI tech, that role just disappears. The chatbot replaces him. And where it matters is it means the torch can no longer be passed onto a new creative performer to push a character forward, to push acting forward. That can't happen. That is a real loss. It's the type of loss that you won't feel because you'll never see, you'll never hear what you're missing out on. As for the Guild's position, well, they actually admit they cannot stop AI voice work. What they want is union-regulated terms. They basically want to protect their members. Now, they did say they appreciate Epic working with Jones's estate. That's vastly better than scraping voices, maybe because you technically could because of some agreement with Disney or whatever. But of course, in the Guild's view, Epic shouldn't be sidestepping the union stuff that's going on, not during a strike that is literally about this exact technology. So these legal challenges are going to be crucial here, right? Because they are the best way to protect creatives. Like, if you want to change the rules and define the rules, that's like what courts are for, and that's why this actually does matter. Because here's the thing. This Vader example, it's the good version. Now that it works, now that it's profitable, how long before we see worse examples? All right, it's time to thread a needle. So, to many, the core value of generative AI is to replace human labor. Now, there are other reads. I mean, in a sense, you could say that by decreasing the cost of intelligence, you allow for new levels of human-orchestrated labor that previously were not possible. And indeed, that's very often happened as our technology has got better and better. Indeed, though, there is a bit of a dose makes the poison thing, and as opposed to, say, the car or the plow, I think this one might actually be different. So, I guess I'll make the point that I'm not foundationally against a new bit of technology just because it's a new bit of technology. And I actually do use a lot of these tools a lot of the time. But here's the difference. I am crafting things with tools that I understand for my own job, my own craft. No one is forcing me. It is self-driven, right? I have control. Take as an example this report, what I'm doing literally right now. Notion's formatting pastes into my Elgato prompter awfully. And that just means there's a bunch of clicking and it's very annoying and the UI sucks. Well, actually a good use of a language model is reformatting some text. So with Gemini 2.5 Flash, I can nearly instantly remove all of the line breaks and format it perfectly based on rules that I've laid out. So it literally is copy paste in the prompter perfectly. That's not going to change the world, but you know what it's going to do? Remove a few paper cuts. It's the sort of thing that works from an individual up mindset. If you think about, say, Kaizen, the philosophy from Toyota, the reason why Japanese cars got absolutely flippin' goated, like through the 70s, 80s, 90s, etc. Now, the thing is, right, I know what is and is not tasteful to me. And I also control my own schedule. I'm not putting some random, artificial deadline on when I have to use a tool. The reason why is because to do so would be fucking stupid. Unless you're a CEO of a huge company that wants to boast in your next earnings call that you're a forward-looking leader and that you have mandated all your workers move to the new thing by a given date. That's obviously bad because it's not actually craft-driven. It's not driven by the person who's actually doing the job. And this is where so many people will have found the worst of this, when your boss just says it must be done this way in a way that doesn't really feel like a dialogue, in a way that feels like it's perhaps signaling to the market. So it's no surprise that executives would love this stuff and can pre-rationalize a lot of things. I mean, it's a software license versus payroll, insurance, benefits. Easy math, right? And when they see Epic normalizing this tech, they will be thrilled. They are not going to be looking for the new creative opportunities. They are not going to be looking for, you could say, the Steelman case of using some of this tech. They will be looking for the best way to make the next quarter look good, because that's what this system they play in optimizes for. And so now they will see a path forward because of Epic, a way to avoid the reputational risks that they warned their investors about. They can say, they're doing is just like Fortnite. We know how the executives work as well. Why would they pay more for quality when they think they can get away paying less for good enough? But do you know what defines good enough? You. You define good enough. So the question then is simple. Will you settle for it?